6:30.
Yeah.
I will call the Ashland School Board meeting to order. First thing is pledge of allegiance. The flag is behind you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll call Steve, Deb, Renee, and myself, and Sandra is absent. And I didn't hear from, did you?
I just be running a little late.
The minutes, regular meeting, December 4th. Did everybody get a chance to read them? Is there a motion? Renee, is there a second? Deb? Any changes or, if not, all in favor? 4-0, thank you. The special meeting, take a motion. Deb? Is there a second? Steve? On those minutes, there's two changes that needed. On the members present, Sandra wasn't there. And on the members absent, Renee and Sandra both would notice.
Thanks for checking that.
What's that?
Thanks for checking that. I didn't even see that.
So that's the only change we had down there. So with the changes, all in favor? 3-0-1.
Yeah.
Abstain. 3-0-1. Thank you. For the floor, David, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. Communications, anything from the board? The only communication I have is we will add a C when we get to business the board to talk about the New Hampshire School Board Association delegate. So we'll talk about it there.
Good.
And we did just want to share also correspondence from Barbara Lumen. Reno's going to pass that out. And it's just relative to some suggested changes to the warrant article relative to raising funds for the heating system. And really the summary is on the back side for what she would recommend.
She just recommended taking off the last sentence that we had proposed, and we had proposed it as kind of a explanation.
No.
She said she didn't think DRA would approve it, and they didn't, so.
Good advice.
So I have amended the warrant articles.
Okay.
And I think we can certainly in the annual report try to put a kind of a note as to, the plans for that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
This evening.
Awesome. Administrator report, principals report, Shannon?
So I'm going to start with our enrollment report you have in front of you. It indicates that we have 159 students. We actually had one transfer right before the holiday break, so we are down to 158. As far as my administrative report goes, I just have a couple of days to highlight for you because we had a really busy few weeks before vacation, but all things that I let you know at our last meeting were upcoming. So because we are only one day back into the year, I don't have a ton to report to you, but we do have some interesting and important dates coming up. Our first winter rec day is tomorrow, and the kids are really excited about that. We're all ready to go. We have several basketball games, home and away, in the coming month. Our term 3 ends on the 11th, and on the week of the 14th is Cancer Awareness Week, so teachers and students will be asked to wear a different color each day in recognition of, or to raise awareness for different cancers. We have learning summaries going home on the 18th of January. Math and focus training is going to happen on the 22nd and the 23rd of January, full day trainings with 2 different groups of teachers. And we have our final winter rec day on January 31st. That is the 5th day. We also have coming to kindergarten over those days, Squam Lake Science Center. We also have we have some dancers coming from Plymouth State to be with the kindergarten students. And I believe someone from the Forest Service. It's actually Mr. Morse's father, who is a life, like a ropes climber. He does rope climbing, if that makes sense. Anyway, he's gonna come and talk with the kindergarten students. So they have their own thing set up for winter rec on those days, which is gonna be really fun. So that's about it. Our staff of the month, Sarah Lindbergh and Kelly Avery, they are the queens of Team Respect. They both work incredibly hard, and this is their first year together, and it was such a quick kind of connection between the two of them. They are amazing as a team. They're super organized. They have incredible classroom management and engagement with the kids, and they just do an awesome job. Kelly Avery has also worked really hard to get winter rec ready and in place, as well as Jackie McGettigan. So we're really excited for tomorrow because it's all set. And tomorrow's the big first day. And that's it. All I
Hopefully we
have.
have school.
They just say snow showers.
Nothing else, please.
It's a bummer if they can't go.
I know.
Is that Sharon?
That is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Financial report, Trish?
Thank you. In your packet, you have a general fund budget report for the current school year. Since your last report, we have spent down or encumbered an additional $28,020. 95.04% of the budget has been spent or encumbered at this time, and that's holding very steady compared to last year at this same time. The majority of the activity was the encumbrance of $20,000 for the food service support that needed to be encumbered. So that was the majority of the activity,
Of the 28,000.
of the 28.
Thank you. Any questions for Trish? Business of the board, legislative update, Mary?
So I have some information to share that will probably make you feel dizzy at first. This is just legislation that people have requested you to consider for possible requests or services to put together as legislation. This is only relative to education, so there certainly are others that could potentially be being proposed or worked on at this stage. Many of these may never make it to any true level of consideration, but I did want to at least bring them to your attention because it certainly shows that there's a lot of activity in terms of people's thinking around education. On the very first page, number 4 and 126, those potentially could have a monetary impact. On the second page, 224, 254, and 280, again, may have a monetary impact. The third page, 479 and 481, also could have potential there. And the very last page, 629, references the stabilization grants or the reduction. If you recall, those are being reduced each year by 4%, and you'll see that when we talk about revenues this evening. That certainly has been an impact to offsetting costs for the school district. And 726 is another one that seems to be relative to the cost of an adequate education. So I thought I would at least share this with you. Again, many of these may certainly not even make it to an actual, typed up, written proposal, but they do seem to be having some activity at this stage. And certainly as the legislation gets underway, the legislators underway for their seasons ahead of them, we'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Mary. And also we got updates.
From the New Hampshire School Board, which is fabulous that between the New Hampshire School Board Association and the New Hampshire School Administrators Association, they have people that are spending a lot of time, overseeing and participating in the process, so they can give some nice summaries of what's going on.
And what's more likely to go through.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is Ashland School District revenue information. Mary and Trish.
So we have an update this evening. Ms. Temporino has been busy doing an analysis of tax rates and so forth, and so she has an updated revenue sheet for you that relative to the budget. So she will distribute that and go over that.
That replaces this one?
Yes.
It
so this-
replaces that one. That one is incorrect, and I'll go over that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a tax rate analysis for you. And I also wanted to hand out at this time a memo that I sent to the chair of the budget committee. Where'd it go? Thought I had. Shoot. I'll talk about it.
We're gonna have to do a little sharing.
Is that the, I thought I had it.
We'll get a.
I'll send that to you. I'm sorry. But the budget committee asked a couple of questions regarding adequacy and how it is calculated, and so I wanted to follow up with them and send that to them. And as Mary mentioned, it is, it does go down each year, and so we even saw a bit of a change from when we estimated our revenues for this current year, 18-19. We thought we would have about 531,000. When we got the final number, this actually just before the tax rate was set, it had dropped to 513. And the number that they are projecting for next year is 495. So that is a big impact on our revenues. In the analysis of the tax rate, you can see that the way I estimate is a little bit different than it always actually comes out, but we were pretty close at about 51 cents, and I said the local would be about 44 cents, so it was fairly close. You can see the largest impact was on the town side of the change in the tax rate. Another change in the revenue that I made was in the estimations for kindergarten aid based on what we did receive this year for kindergarten aid. I had reduced that down to 15,000, but after seeing that we did receive the 26, I increased it. Since we'll have about the same number of kindergarten students
Next year.
next year.
Anybody have any questions on this for Trish?
And I do apologize for that. I thought I had copies of that memo for you. I will get it to you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Trish.
Certainly.
So the next item we do is going to put a C in here, the New Hampshire School Board Association delegate meeting. We have some copies if you didn't bring it from last week. Anybody need a copy?
I don't.
I did not bring one, so
That's it.
that's why we want copies.
So I don't know, Steve, if you want to go through one at a time or
It doesn't matter.
general gist, because
There's
there's
a lot of them.
Well, there's 11.
But they're very
But there's
similarly themed.
Three of
Yes.
there's 2 themes in one of them that cover like 6 half of them.
Yeah.
Number 11, if you read number 11, did not come in by the deadline, so the School Board Association did not take a position on it, and they're not going to vote on it. But there's a possibility that the Litchfield, school board may bring it up from the floor at the January meeting.
Yeah.
So we can touch base just in case, if that happens. The first one, Oyster River. Did everybody get a chance to read them? The problem I see here is they're making if this was to pass, it would make a rule that's in direct conflict with the state laws. So I don't see how you would reconcile that.
Yeah. I think that I would expect that there'll be some legislative activity around this with some shifts that have happened. I do know that. It certainly is one that has been a conversation piece throughout the state, and various groups have had concerns, just because there is a conflict, and until, honestly, that conflict is resolved, school boards can't be in conflict with.
Right, I mean, usually the federal law takes precedent, and then the state law takes next, and the local school board were last, And I can't imagine the school boards
Acting ahead.
acting ahead of the other stuff, because it's just gonna get thrown out. So for that reason alone, I would say, unless they clean up the language. And I think the state needs to lead on this. And if nothing else, the state can say, authorize the school boards to do it, but that's not what this says.
Right.
So that would be my take on it. Is Deborah, anything different? Or
No.
Renee? Okay, so I'd say no.
Yeah.
Just because of the way it's.
And I doubt that they'll come through with anything other than the way it stands now. I don't think the legislature's going to act on anything soon.
I think it will be,
I think there's some
Years.
stuff.
It'll be broached.
I think we'll at least come to the table again,
Right.
and whether or not something will happen.
Yeah.
I think it'll be brought up in the next session. It's just a matter, like Mary said, of whether, how far it proceeds. Does it die in committee, or does it actually get some legs and start to have a conversation? So the next one is the resolution for the retirement system. Reading through this, it sounds great, but there's no mechanism in here to protect us, other than say it would be nice. So without a mechanism to protect the local school, the state's going to continue to pass on the additional cost, when it should be the state's responsibility for the retirement system, but they continue to send more and more to the local communities and continue to disavow their responsibility. And I don't see, reading through this here, any mechanism being suggested, or even a solid statement not to allow the state to continue to push that cost down to us. Obviously, having the fund solve it is a great idea. So I'm not sure what the thoughts of the board are.
Do we have to send like comments or something?
No, but Steve's gonna want to know about voting.
Oh,
I didn't want to unilaterally go down there and represent the board with my own interpretation and wishes. So, in a sense, you're all dragged into it.
okay.
So, and again, to me, I love the idea. I don't think the way this resolution is written is, I don't know.
We have continuously seen the cost of the retirement system, the portion, the employer portion going up, and which has been reflected in our budgets.
Yes.
So they continue to push that onto us and then take back the revenue. So it's a double hit. Here you get paid more, and then here you get less. And it continues to be less funds coming in and more funds going out for the retirement system, and less funds coming in for adequate education. So it becomes a double whammy.
Mhm.
So I guess I would listen, and I don't have a problem with it. It's just that there's no mechanism in
No, there
here
isn't.
to protect the local school. You know, I'd love to see a mechanism in there to protect us.
That may be one of the many.
Yeah, maybe they discuss it.
Bills.
Yeah. So the next one is, and there's a lot, so once we talk about this one, and I guess they would all be the same when it comes to the funding. You know, this one advocates the proper funding of high-quality public education, opposes the provision of law that funds private school reassignment use of public raised tax dollars. Thoughts?
So it just says this is a duplicate of another one?
2 or 3, I think, on this
Yeah,
particular
one
one.
A and one B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why they're not recommending it, but they're
Right.
like, yes, we support this, but we
Yeah.
don't want to keep going, so. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment.
I agree to not recommend it.
To not recommend, or recommend the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the board of directors is opposed to it.
Just because of,
Mhm.
it's duplicative.
Right.
Unless somebody from Merrimack Valley School Board doesn't believe that it is
Right. Well, you know,
and
there,
speaks up.
you know, there are a number of, well, here, plus I think from the state, they've been working on legislation.
There was, attempts that I think it's in committee, a study committee at this stage.
Yeah, I personally would like to see, if you're in a failing school and you can have a means test, I don't have a problem giving somebody money to take their kid somewhere else. You know, if it's a monopoly and you have no other option, but I think there's got to be a means test in there. You know, if you're well off and you can afford public education, you shouldn't be getting a voucher.
Private education, right?
You know, or sorry, yes, I
Yeah.
did. Private education, yeah. And I don't think competition's a bad thing. You know, competition makes things better, but it can't just go to everybody. It can't, it's got to be some kind of means test. You know, do you really need it? And is the school actually failing, or you just don't like it? You know,
Right.
just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's failing.
Exactly.
You know, so there's a lot of things that go in here, and I think all of this kind of stuff is too superficial. It doesn't really get into, and just to say no, if there are kids out there that could benefit from this, you know, what's the percentage? It's gonna probably be low. It's gonna be 2 or 3% probably.
Mm.
But if that 2 or 3% could be helped. So that's my take on it. And they're opposing this one, so I guess I'm gonna go with New Hampshire School Board Association, because I think there's something else in the works that they're working on.
There's definitely, some of those bills, proposals to involve the, potentially supporting other choices.
Mhm.
Where that will go, that had quite a journey last round, where it will go. I'm unsure, but I think that probably will kind of draw some
Action.
further action. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then proposed resolution number 4 is basically the same,
Yes.
same thing.
And
And 5. Yeah. So 6 would be the next one. States if a parent chooses to exempt their student from a statewide assessment, the school district does not need parental approval for the alternative activity. I think that's a tough one because,
I think generally, we would work with a family. mean,
I think we would too.
But
Yeah.
a really large school
But
district.
a really
yeah.
large school district may not. I mean,
They
if
had
you
like
don't-
30 kids out.
Right. Well, not only that, but if you're the parent and say, I don't want them doing this, and then the option they pick is even worse,
Mhm.
now you have no option.
Yeah.
You know, I think I would be against this. I think, I don't think it's very parent-friendly. You know, if you really feel that that's an issue, then your option is no issue, is no option. I think to force it on them, I think you leave it at the school board level, let each individual, you know, district decide how they're going to handle it.
And I think that's, I think principals work really well with families who, for various reasons, don't want their child to participate, and that's certainly, within their rights, and
I think
try to make it at least a positive experience for the, for the child, and I think that's a best practice.
I think it's closer to the parent, whether it's the principal or,
Yeah. Be a guidance counselor, teacher.
Teacher, whoever.
Yep.
I think the school's
Work out at
closer
the
to that,
local level.
to that kid and to that parent than
Yep.
somebody in Concord is. Proposed resolution number 7, it's the same as those 3 or 4 before. Proposed resolution number 8 is a decision as to what date to start the school year, remain at the local decision and not be mandated by state government. I think that would be a good one to support.
I do too.
I think the school districts know and understand their needs better than
Yeah.
somebody in Concord.
And collective
Exactly.
bargaining agreements have a lot of language that people don't always realize is there in terms of, dates that beginning of school days for teachers can be in reference to Labor Day. And so I think it's a pretty complicated issue, calendars, more so than people might realize. So having that at the local level makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and in a small school like this, it's less of an issue because most of our kids can't work.
Right.
And it's really aimed at one of the high school level kids that, maybe want to work that extra week or that extra weekend. So I'd say no on that, either at the local level. Proposed resolution number 9, allows school districts to best, it's the same one that we just talked about. Resolution number 10, support legislation allowing local districts to determine guns, and again, that's the same as number 1, which is a conflict with the state laws and possibly federal laws, so I don't know how school boards can outrule the state. And then number 11 is the one that came in late. And the New Hampshire School Board Association did not take any action on it. This one I didn't understand, so I asked Mary, so I'll have Mary explain
So
it.
there was lots of conversation about changing, I think, the level of threshold that would constitute hardship. So I think that is where this is being drawn from, that the level of being able to really demonstrate that it's a hardship for a student to be at a school was being questioned, and potentially regulations at the state board changing relative to that. So I think that's where this is coming from,
Yeah.
that direction. Because right now, our policy and people need to demonstrate a level of hardship, but it is trying to make that, I think there's conversation to make that threshold much lower.
And I think the state was looking to possibly make it uniform across, so it just becomes the same.
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
No, it isn't.
Each town, each situation is different.
Mhm.
And when you make everything the same, then pretty soon nobody fits it. So, so I think this is aimed at.
Better left
so-
it local.
Aimed at leaving it local. So right now, it's no action taken. They're not putting it up as a resolution, but as you read in here.
They may bring it from the
they-
floor.
Which they may bring it from the floor. So if they did bring it from the floor, I would say we probably want to support it and leave it at the local level.
I think it sounds like we want to leave as much at the local level as we can.
Yeah.
And
As
not,
long as we're legally allowed to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. So that help with the guidance, Steve?
Pardon?
That help with guidance?
Oh, absolutely.
No, anybody can go, Deb,
That's right.
Just
I
saying.
know, I'm flirting with the idea.
I knew you were, so I just want to encourage you. Okay, thank you. Business Superintendent, General Operating Expenses, Trish.
You have manifest 2011 for $81,787.59. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions on the manifest? Excuse me. Take a motion to approve manifest 2011. Steve, second. Renee? All in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business? Do we have any new business that we didn't touch on?
Why not?
Policy, third and final reading. Motion to approve third and final reading of policy JLCD, administering medications to students. Take a motion to approve. Deb? Second. Steve?
I was just rereading, it's like the first large paragraph with the red writing in it. All prescribed and over-the-counter medication should be delivered to the school nurse or other appropriate school personnel for approved distribution by the parent or guardian. Is it to be distributed by the parent or guardian, or are we missing some
It's the
commas there?
distribution is approved by the parent or guardian to be done by the school nurse.
Right,
Yeah.
but it reads kind of like the parents need to come back and give the medicine.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So I thought maybe commas around, or something, should be delivered to the school nurse by the parent or guardian, or by the parent or guardian, and then for approved distribution.
Take out the word by and put.
Or
per.
approved process for distribution, maybe that's it, for approved process.
For approved distribution per the parent or guardian. Take out the word by. So it's your
As approved,
authorization word instead of
the parent.
action word.
And, yeah, leave out the,
Take out.
you can take out the
As approved.
delivered by the
by
parent
the
guardian
parent.
to the school. nurse.
That's what I was thinking,
Take out the word by and
distribution.
say per.
Yeah, okay, so take out the word by.
Just a suggestion.
What about, delivered to the school nurse or other appropriate school personnel by the parent or guardian for approved distribution?
Yeah, that's
Sure,
what I was
yep.
Okay,
with you on that.
you're with me?
Sarah, did you get
Just
that?
switch them around
Yeah.
to keep
Now-
what with what.
The term should doesn't necessarily mean that's a requirement.
Must
It
be,
says they shall,
Yeah.
or shall be.
Medication will be delivered,
or shall, yeah.
or shall be delivered. Yeah. Won't change.
Unless
should to
it's
shall.
Well, the next-
unless it's
well, the
our
next
wish to
sentence-
allow an option.
The next sentence says the medication may be delivered by other adults provided that the school nurse or principal is notified in advance by the parent or guardian. So that, I think that's where this should be. It's like, we prefer that the parents bring it, but if the parents have another adult that they want to designate,
Okay.
then they can have
Okay.
that adult bring it to the school.
Okay.
So just swap those two.
Yeah, so just swap those two little clauses.
You have the edit, right, Marilyn? Okay.
Okay. Excuse me, anything else? You really vote on that as amended?
Yes.
All in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Policies for the first reading, motion to approve first reading of policy. We don't have an audience, so I'm not going to read them all.
Do you want to do them one by one? I have comments.
Yep. Do policy BEA, school board meeting first.
Do you want me to make comments
Yeah.
first, or you want the motion?
Take a motion.
I'll,
Renee? Second? Steve?
Deb.
Okay? Renee? You have
Okay,
one on that?
just a little housekeeping thing. Anywhere it says board or school board, it should just be capitalized. It goes back and forth a little bit. And then under non-public sessions, it says the board may hold non-public sessions in accordance with RSA 98A:3. Should there be a comma after that?
I can grammatically see that.
You can see that? Okay. And then right, the following paragraph, it says the following matters shall be considered or acted upon in non-public session in accordance with RSA 91A:3. And then I didn't see any following matters, because everything underneath it had been crossed out.
Yeah, okay. I think you could take out that whole line, actually,
Okay.
because really 91-A:3
Oh, yeah.
is, those are the.
That's what's listed. I thought you were just referencing the
Yeah.
statute, but it just didn't.
Yeah.
So take out
I
that
think
entire sentence.
Yeah,
following
the
matters.
following matters shall be considered. And that was all I had on that one.
Anything else in that one? If, we'll vote on it as amended. All in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Next policy will be policy CF, function of the principal. Take a motion, Renee. Second. Deb?
I said one thing.
Go ahead.
In the first paragraph, the principal will provide instructional leadership and an environment for the maximal educational nurture of all children. Should be nurturing.
How about for the benefit?
For the benefit, the nurture didn't read well.
Educational benefit, I
Benefit.
agree.
That was all.
Anyone else on that one? If not, we'll vote on that as amended. All in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Next policy, GBCD, background investigation and criminal records check. Renee, second? Yep.
I just had a couple of questions.
Yep.
The first paragraph, the last sentence, this investigation shall be completed prior to making a final offer of employment or before any volunteer is allowed to participate in any activity. I didn't know if we should just separate the volunteers out, because it seems like the level of background check for an employee is much heavier than what we're requiring.
Is it?
Like in checking prior employers.
No, it's the same,
It's the
same
same.
thing.
Even
It's
with
an FBI.
FBI and-
But
state
with
and FBI.
what was it saying?
So we don't.
Like checking with past employers and stuff like that.
That's a reference, check.
Right.
That's part of the reference check process.
Yeah, shall conduct a thorough investigation of the past employment history and other applicable background of any person considered for employment. And I thought just the investigation of past employment history, mixing that with the volunteer. Because I know that we still do a criminal background check for all the volunteers.
And we don't
but-
allow volunteers to participate until
Prior
they
to,
have,
they've
prior
been-
to. So maybe we can just separate, maybe it's a.
Because there's the other section for volunteers on
So
the
maybe
second
we can
page.
say, under the volunteers, we could just basically move that sentence relative to volunteers. Before any volunteer is allowed to participate in any activity, they must have completed,
Just move it
successfully
underneath.
completed.
Yeah, and just separate it out
Yep.
from the employment.
Yeah, so we can do that.
And then on that paragraph of volunteers, where it says designated volunteers, i.e. those who have regular direct contact with students who have duties involving one-to-one contact with students, shall be required to submit a criminal records check every 3 years. Does that include like a chaperone for a field trip, or is it only people who are doing one-on-one or who
So
are?
we have been really using a very high threshold. If you're going to be around kids, we are doing a criminal background check.
Okay.
So,
You said-
but now, there are events, right, that parents are welcomed to. They're not there as a volunteer.
They're a guest.
Right, they're a guest.
Yeah.
So, they would not, obviously, we don't do a criminal background check on every parent. So there may be, I'm trying to think if there's like a celebration or something, the kids are doing and parents come in, right.
I guess the thing that I found confusing about this, just reading it, if I was a parent wondering if I needed to get a background check, to me it sounded like I was gonna have to I was either someone who was in the classroom like all the time,
Yeah.
or working one-on-one with a student. I didn't see it as I'm going on my kid's field trip.
So I think.
So maybe broaden it a little bit to, because I agree, like, it's good to have a background check, but it just felt like, oh, I'm going on a field trip, I already had my background check done 5 years ago, I don't need to do it
So I think we
again.
can do it as someone who's, if you have direct contact with students in a volunteer capacity,
Okay.
we complete a criminal
Wanna
background
take
check.
this
Which you may on a field
Yeah,
trip.
we can.
Which
I
you
think
probably
could
would, but I
probably,
think it
rather
was
than
the
going all the way
direct-
Back to committee, I think we can.
Regular
sensible.
comma, direct.
How
So
about
going
just
on a
take
field trip
regular
once
out?
a year
Yeah.
doesn't sound, that's
Yeah.
not regular.
I think we could bring back.
You could even cross out regular.
Amended version for second reading,
Yeah.
rather than, I don't know that it needs to go all the way back to committee. I think we have a sense of it, and maybe we can try to do that for a second reading.
Okay.
Okay.
I think our goal was to get it that doing it every 3 years makes
Right.
sense.
And that
I
does
think we
make
can clean
sense.
up some of the language.
Should we, I don't know, should we put something in here about, and maybe it's not required, but it's just that the school will provide an opportunity for fingerprinting, no, you don't want to, okay.
I think
Don't
it
wanna
would be
open
better
that
not
can
to
of
put the
worms.
process
Okay.
in. I think we're committed to that, but I think if we, whenever we start
don't wanna codify it.
intertwining
Gotcha.
process and policy, if you change your process.
Then
you
it
have
comes
change
back to
it.
bite
Yeah.
you, yeah.
But we have been doing Shannon and her folks have been organizing, great start of the school year. Now we'll be entering, so this is the third year of doing it.
Oh, we've done it once.
So if
More than
it's
that.
going,
Yeah.
okay, I'm thinking, I guess, was it that it became everybody? For 3 years ago, it seemed like we had a large number of people that we were fingerprinting at the start, and it seems like we've lessened
That might be the first year
that.
that we did it at the school.
Maybe,
Because I did
but
it
I know
before
we-
that,
So
and I went
I-
to the police station.
Yeah. Anticipate that we're
I
going-
think that's because we're doing it at the school as an opportunity. But
Yeah.
Before that, we were
We're
already doing it.
Okay,
PSA, police station.
got it, okay. So,
So
we'll
who's-
probably see another surge, I guess.
Who's, will the school notify the people that their background check is up?
So we'll have to work on that process,
Okay.
letting families know. I think it will be part of the
What
notices.
we'll let them know is if they don't have to do it because they are within the 3 years of the time before.
Okay.
But we give them the opportunity, well, we'll give them the same opportunity open house, and they can check with us and see if they need to do it or not. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? We'll have a list.
A list.
With the dates,
All right,
sure.
and just say check in?
Yep.
Okay.
So this will be, yep, you're good,
Or-
or if you're not on the
Right.
list, yes.
The school
Right.
pays for volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple amendments in there, so when we vote on this, it'll be with that amendment and moving the line from the hiring to the
To the volunteers.
volunteer, and then we'll modify it.
Yep.
in the second reading.
Perfect.
All in favor, as modified? 4-0. Thank you. Next policy is JCA, change of school or assignment. Have a motion to approve? Yep. Second? Renee? Anything on that one?
I had something, but give me a second.
Yep.
Oh, paragraph 6, where it says the total reassignments or transfers made under this policy in any school year will not exceed, and then it goes on to say unless the school board votes to exceed this limit. I really hate that language, and I hate it in the teacher's contract. It's just, I'd rather just have it listed and done with and not have it be something that, people get angry with the board over.
Yeah, well, I would want to go back and double check that edit was made based on the New Hampshire School Board's
Was it?
policy recommendations.
Okay.
So I would want to, I need to go back and look
Yeah,
at
We
why.
had legal.
Right, we also had.
Legal looked at that?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that it may just be both the New Hampshire School Board and the legal wanting to give the board more opportunity for authority over that than you're legally required to.
Right.
So I think we can certainly go back and research that and maybe do the same thing relative to a second reading.
Okay.
So we'll leave this for now.
Yes.
And vote on it, and we'll have an update for the second reading.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
All in favor? 4-0. Next policy is JIC-1, prohibited conduct. Take a motion to approve that. Renee,
Either
or
way.
Deb, a second. You have anything on that?
Yep. Paragraph J on the second page, where it just says school as defined in RSA 193B. Is that just supposed to be a reference to the statute, or is there supposed to be some more language in there?
Just a reference. I think that should just be
Okay,
a period,
okay.
not the.
Not the carrot at the end?
Right.
Okay. And then under L. That was what's
Great.
called.
Yeah, I like that.
I was gonna say greater than simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrots and hat.
Oh, you're right, it
Yeah,
is.
but
All right.
that's all right.
School employee, all right, this is L. School employee includes but is not limited to any school administrator, teacher. I think it should be volunteer, school board member, just grammatically, instead of having the S. They shouldn't be plural.
Got it. Okay. For parallel structure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that was all I had on that one.
And just for the board's reference, policy committee did have a legal opinion. This was reviewed by Barbara Lohman, I believe, or it was Diane Burrow. It was one of the attorneys that we worked with. Because it is one of those...
Sticky wickets?
Yes. That, it's one of those policies that you just need to have right when you need to have it, and you hope you don't need it.
Yeah.
So that'll be as amended. All in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Policy JICD, student discipline and due process. Motion to approve. Renee, second. Steve?
I'm all good on this one.
Anything on that one? If not, all in favor? 4-0.
And I will just, the attorney did also review this in conjunction with the other prohibited conduct.
I'm guessing the next one as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next one is policy JIH, student searches and their property. Motion to approve. Deb? Renee?
Okay.
Anything on that?
Nope.
Anything? If not, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you. Approval of the floor, number 2, David, have anything? Anything else from the board? Anything from administration? Okay. Announcements are on there. Thursday, January 10th, Ashland Budget Committee School public hearing here at the Ashland School. Is that going to be in the cafeteria?
Yes, it is.
And then February 5th, 2019, Ashland School Board here, and that'll be the first deliberative session. It'll be 6:30. There'll be no policy that night, and we'll have a school board meeting immediately following the deliberative session, which will be at 6:30, February 5th. Tuesday, March 5th is our regular school board meeting. There will be policy at 5:45. School board meeting at 6:30. Take a motion to adjourn. Renee, second. Deb, all in favor? 4-0. Thank you very much.